Hey everyone, for those of you who have taken the 12-week Starting Over program on the tablet or watched the talent series, we are going to dive a little deeper into some of those conversations, and we are going to sit down with some of the people that we have mentioned in the entrepreneurship series. And we are going to start with Jesus Monge. Jesus, introduce yourself.
Thank you, Cheri. No, off top, very honored and humbled to be, chosen to participate here. Hey everyone, my name is Jesus Monge. I'm from Dallas, Texas. I'm 39 years old. I grew up here in Pleasant Grove. I've been released from incarceration. I've been out 8 years after doing 9 years of incarceration, and I am now the Chief of Operations at Oak Cliff Building Materials, OCCS LLC, and Junk Hustlers. And that's not how it started. We're going to backtrack during this conversation of how we got there. That's what we're going to discuss today.
Yeah. All right, Monge, so let's go back at the very beginning. How did we meet?
The prison entrepreneurship program. I know you were an executive volunteer in the program. The program just, fosters entrepreneurship within prison, recruits people, teaches them, and you were one of the people to come inside, volunteer, help us with our business plans, um, help us coach through what we're doing, mentorship, all of that. That's where we met back in 2014, 2015.
That was a long time ago. And I remember you sent me a text message. And I want this interview to be very transparent and vulnerable for both of us, not just you, for both of us. When you started coming to my entrepreneurship classes, I wasn't sober yet. No. Yeah, I wasn't doing drugs anymore, but I was still struggling with alcohol. I just didn't know I was struggling. I figured since it was legal, work hard, play hard. But when I look back at it, I was literally leaving the entrepreneurship classes I was teaching to go to my car to down a little mini bottle of wine and come back up. I'd be like, I'm going to the bathroom. So that was probably a sign I had a problem.
Correct. I do remember that. So I was released in 2018, and while I was pursuing my CDL and things like that, Cornbread Hustle was having those classes Thursday nights at the downtown Dallas Public Library, and we would go Thursday nights, I believe, and we would have events, networking events, and we stayed in touch through that. And I remember I finally was able to get my CDL, started driving. I ended up losing that job, and I felt kind of lost because I had put all my eggs in one basket with getting my CDL. A lot of people in prison, CDL is one of the big things they all talk about because it's the level of entry is pretty low. With your background, you can get into it. Doesn't require like a lot of experience. The Workforce Commission helps you get your CDL, so it's something obtainable for a lot of people coming out of incarceration. So that's what I had 100% focused on. And when it didn't work out, I was depressed, and I started getting back into what I had done previously, and I was doing that. That's when I started drinking myself a lot too, and the further I got into that, the more guilty I would feel and depressed. And even though I was having money and having worldly success, right, I knew inside of me that I was on my way back to federal prison. And one of those nights, I was drinking. It's 2, 3 in the morning, heavy in my mind, and I sent you a text message, and I shot it off and went to sleep. And when I woke up in the morning, you had read it and told me, hey, come out to the office. Let's meet. Let's have a conversation. And took off from there.
Yeah, so let's back up. I want to backpedal a little to a couple of things that you said. So you said that the CDL thing didn't work out. What caused you to lose that job or not be able to get it?
Yes, so I was able to get it. The thing was, when I was backing up into a port in Louisiana, I hit a parked car with a trailer, and they were like, "No, you got to go." And that got on my driving record, so that made it hard. I had little experience and already a wreck on my license, and so it was pretty devastating to me for that to happen.
And I ask that because, you know, at Cornbread Hustle, we've hired almost 3,000 people coming out of prison, and people lose their jobs every single day. But sometimes it's because they got in a fight. Sometimes it's because they didn't show up. Sometimes it's because parole just got in the way to the point where the employer wasn't interested anymore. So I want people in prison to really understand how people not only had their successes, but also the failures. And I don't even want to call them failures, because every failure, if we look back, because we've known each other for a long time, for both of us, every failure led us to where we're really supposed to be.
Correct.
And it really served as a learning ground. So yes, you did. And whenever you talked about, I got into stuff that I used to do and it got me depressed, I know everybody in prison knows what you're talking about, but not everybody watching this on YouTube knows. So it was dealing drugs.
Yes, I was selling methamphetamine.
Yeah.
And after I lost that job, I had one more shot at a local cement truck driving company. And I did get into it with my trainer, and he did not like me and I didn't like him. And he ended up not passing my training. So that was my second shot at the CDL thing. It was cement truck driving. So from there I had to pivot.
With everything that you've learned about emotional intelligence, go back to that time in your life and you not liking that guy and him not liking you. What do you think you could have done differently, or what would you have done differently if you could go back in time for that job?
Definitely bite the bullet. You know, you have to know what you really want. Is it worth me showing this other person that I'm prideful, or you're not going to overstep that boundary? Like, what I should have done is just do what I have to do with him, pass my training, go to the next, move on. My livelihood, feeding my family, paying my bills, that was more important than me showing this gentleman I'm tough, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what looking back, bite the bullet. Now I have more of that emotional maturity to handle those type of situations.
When you sent me that text message, I was actually only 6 months sober. I still hadn't really announced my sobriety because I wanted to keep it a secret, because I felt like if I tell people, then people will know I fail, because I was literally already planning on failing, because I didn't want long-term sobriety. I just wanted to back off a little so I could learn how to drink like a lady. And when you reached out, I will say that today, if somebody reached out to me the way you did, I wouldn't respond to them. One, I would say, no, they're drunk. They text me at 3 in the morning. Two, you had literally told me, I'm doing this and I want to get out. I don't want to do it anymore. Today at Cornbread Hustle, I'm like, no, you changed, then we help you get a job. Like, I'm not going to come pull you out of where you're at.
Yeah, definitely.
But at the time, being only 6 months sober, I had to learn a whole bunch of stuff. I had a major codependency problem. And a lot of that was, you know, helping people like you. And it was easier for me to focus on your problems than my own. And looking back, you know, God, you know, Romans 8:28, I love that. I'm so glad I said yes. I'm glad I was codependent. I'm glad I was only 6 months sober, because the relationship that we have now and where it's brought us. Tell me about, call me out. Tell me about how I used to be, because you came and worked for me.
Correct.
Tell me just how we've grown together. I would say emotionally.
I think we both had growing pains in those moments. I think we both crossed paths when God was initially taking us out of where we were at those times, which, looking back, is what to me makes this friendship so special, because I've seen you over the years put in a lot of work from who you were then to who you are now, and I know you vice versa, right? And I know, like you said, you were looking for community, you were looking for people to pour into. You were in early sobriety, so you were having to face who you were, right? And you were probably like, no, I'm gonna focus on me, right? So I'm grateful that that I'm the one that decided to cross the street that day, right? And I appreciate it. But at the same time, me coming into that, coming out of the environment that I'm coming from, I'm also codependent because I'm trying to get away from here. I'm clinging to you for everything, for because you're my everything right now, right? This company, this friendship, this network, this new life that I'm having now is everything to me. So we're both super codependent, but we're like brothers and sisters sometimes arguing, right? You do this, no, you do that, no, you do that, you know? And it was a learning experience throughout that time. But like I said, I'm glad we crossed
I
paths.
remember you asked me once, you said, have you ever said the words, I'm sorry? Try it. Say it right now. Let me hear it. Say it. I literally was like,
Correct.
I can't.
Can't, yeah. And I think I also triggered a lot of a lot of the worst parts of you, right? Even I think one of the things I started to feel like entitled, right? Probably overstepping boundaries that I shouldn't, because we're working in a small business startup, and I'm an entrepreneur, and you're the CEO, right? I'm starting to feel that I can voice certain things, right? But I had to remind myself, you're the CEO, you're the owner, right? You're the visionary. I need to be over here, you need to be over there, right? Instead of my opinion matters just as much as yours, which I know you valued my opinion, but I wasn't always right. You had different experiences than I did. I was still new coming into the workforce. So,
Yeah, you've definitely grown.
yeah, a lot since then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did value your opinion until whenever I didn't do what you wanted, you'd slam the door.
Yeah. Passive aggressive.
So let's talk
what it
about that.
was.
Let's
Yeah.
talk about passive aggressiveness, because you've told me so many times, Cheri, people who come from where I come from don't even know what passive aggressive means. We don't know what codependent means, which is why I created the 12-week starting over program, because I'm like, look, if people can learn emotional regulation, then we can get in front of a lot of crime and reduce recidivism. So talk about some of the emotional, emotional intelligence that you have stepped into.
Yeah, like we were just discussing during our work experience together, that started happening. Passive aggressiveness, or I'd say certain things, or I wouldn't say certain things, or you started to having to think, what would Monge feel about this? And that's never a good thing, when you have to feel like you're on your toes. And you started calling me out, right? Hey, you're passive aggressive. We're codependent. I'm codependent. I had never heard those terms. There's a lot of things that I learned there that I didn't learn in my household. And now, years later, I'm able to tell my parents about what I learned outside of my household. And I'm not certainly not blaming them for it. They did the best that they could, right? They were kids raising kids. So a lot of people in underserved communities are not exposed to that, right? They're not exposed to that type of vocabulary. We don't talk about therapy. We don't talk about healing our traumas. We don't talk about putting in the work to heal from that. We don't. That's not even we get into it with our parents, and the way your mom says I'm sorry is asking you, do you want to come get something to eat? We don't talk about those things, much less with a lot of our fathers, right? They're definitely not gonna dive into emotion and things like that. So I was able to learn a lot about myself, and then that made me self-reflective. That helped me because it put a character trait in front of my face, and it said, you're like this. Okay, well, what else am I? So it made me look full in the mirror and started analyzing myself and why I am certain ways, and why my responses to certain things are a certain way, and why I act.
In the 12-week starting over program, we call that, we don't call it that, it's a known term, but it's the shadow work, homework, where you're looking at the darker parts of you and being honest with yourself. When you said a second ago, people they don't want to do the work, or they don't know how to do the work. Let's talk about the work for people who are in prison right now watching. Because honestly, I had a sponsor before whenever I was first getting sober, and I was complaining, I was talking about, I guess she got tired of me because I was a broken record, worried about the same thing, blah, blah, blah. And she kept saying, do the work, do the work, do the work. And I kept being like, I'm working, I'm talking to you, I'm in a meeting with you. So explain in your words what it looks like to, quote, do the work.
Well, it depends what we're struggling with, right? I think a lot of times you hear that in health, right? In health and physical health. Do the work, right? I want to look a certain way. I'm tired of looking this way, but I don't go to the gym. But I'm telling my brother or my sister, I'm tired of feeling this way. But you don't go to the gym, or you're still eating what you're not supposed to be eating. And I know you're looking at me and you're like, well, you're one of them. But I'm working on it. I'm doing the work now, right? I'm doing the work, but things like that. So in the physical realm, but now you move that to the mental health, to the emotional health, seeking therapy, books, doing work, doing homework, doing practices. In the 12-step program, we learned about that. Journaling, being reflective. That's what it means for that to me. I know you are probably one of the top people that I know that has done the work in different areas. You would probably, you wrote a book, about putting the work with God and your relationship with Him. So if anyone's going to really talk about that, it's you.
Yeah, but I just wanted to make sure it came from somebody who spent a long time in prison, because you're right. I did grow up in an area where I have more privilege, where I have more access to resources and vocabulary and knowledge. So I wanted to let you share what doing the work looked like for you.
One thing I'll add on that is being vulnerable and reaching out to someone that you can be transparent with about it. Hey, I'm struggling with this. Hey, I'm insecure. Hey, Cheri, I don't know how to have a relationship with my girlfriend, because anytime she brings up an ex or anything, man, I trip. And that's embarrassing, right? It's embarrassing. Well, you're insecure. I am insecure, right? But I don't want to just tell anybody that I'm insecure, right? You're going to tell your buddies, hey, I'm insecure about my girlfriend. Man, they'll clown you. So it's not just in that area, but in multiple areas. Finding someone that you can be vulnerable with, fully transparent with about what you're dealing with, and then listening and heeding their advice.
And for me, what that's looked like is getting a sponsor in a recovery program, whether it be AA or SMART or whatever, or it can be in church. You go to Celebrate Recovery or Region, and that's what it takes is community. Because if you're keeping secrets, that they say secrets keep you sick. If you're keeping secrets, it's really hard to, and it's not so much accountability to where you don't mess up because somebody else knows. It's so you can go and talk to somebody and get stuff off your chest and feel like, you know what, I'm not so alone. Like, how many times have we gone to lunch and we just laid it all out and then we both left feeling better? Nothing really got solved, but we left feeling better and realizing that we're
You're
not
also
alone.
self-reflective. When you hear yourself talking to someone else, you're hearing yourself, right? It's coming out of your mouth. The words out in the air, and you're hearing everything that you're going through and what you're putting yourself through, and it makes you reflect on it. Because if you're just at home thinking of meditating on your own, it's just you. It's just you.
Swirling in your head.
Swirling in your head. But now you get to get it out, speak with someone, get feedback, and reflect on it, and then decide, am I going to continue putting up with this is 6 months I've been dealing with this. What I'm going to do it makes you search for the answers. What are the next steps for me to stop dealing with that, to stop struggling with that?
Talk to me about some things that you feel like you have overcome because you've been out of prison for how long now?
18, so going on 8 years.
8 years?
Yeah, 2018.
Okay.
8 years.
So you've been out of prison for 8 years. Talk about some of the things that you feel like you have. We never completely overcome anything. It's always a work in progress, but things that you feel like you got a good handle on, and then things that you're still struggling with right now, but you're seeking help and taking the right steps.
Well, the top one that comes to mind is obviously my sobriety, right? alcohol is something socially accepted, very very much socially accepted. When I was released, I started drinking a lot, and even when I started working, I was working for an organization. Not after it was after yours, and I was making a lot of money, but I didn't have a wife and kids and things like that. So I was making a lot of money. I was working from home, drinking wine, going out to bars, and it started being real costly, not just financially. I'm getting into fights and all kind of things, and still trying to show up to work and get on Google Meet with a black eye, right? So that uh, April 21st, 2021 was 20 no April 25th, 2021 was my last drink. I, I don't know why I struggle with the date to find the date. I guess because that's how much I don't think about drinking no anymore. Like I really haven't had, and not just sober from alcohol, sober from everything. Not a pill, not even now. People are trying to offer me pills. So they were like, "Hey, your back hurts? Yeah, take this pill." Nah, man, because in my mind, I'm gonna feel like I relapsed. So I try to be real careful about what I put. If it's not from the doctor, I won't really won't take it. Or if it's like Tylenol, I will. But so sobriety, it wasn't aligning. Drinking and doing all that wasn't aligning with who I was trying to become. Right. There was one time I was on the news for violence right there in Pleasant Grove. I was with the councilman, Jaime Resendez, and we were talking about violence, and a young kid had lost his life, and we were talking about the correlation between poverty and violence. And um, that news clip came out on Fox, and then I had went to the bar and got into it with the dude at a bar, and a guy there called me out. He's like, "Hey man, weren't you on the news?" And I'm talking about beating this guy up in the parking lot, and I'm talking, and they see me on the news, right? and like, and and it's funny now, but those are the types of things that were making me like, man, you're a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite. You're not. You're going to work. You're talking to other people about leadership and accountability. And you're out here fighting. You're out here destroying your life. So that was really what one of the things that pushed me into run. So that's one of the things, obviously. Another one that I'm struggling with right now is that I don't. I'm gonna take that back. I'm not gonna say I've struggled. I've made decisions over the course of my life that have led me to bad health, physical health, and thankfully, thank God, I don't struggle with any. I'm not diagnosed with any major. I don't have diabetes. I don't have high blood pressure. I don't know how. Right? God has kept me, and throughout that time, all this time, and a lot of things in my life now. You want me to cry, right? That's what it is. You want you poking at me. Okay. So I'm gonna just talk. Right. So I've been big all my life. I've been big since like third or fourth grade. I've never really struggled with bullies. None of that. If anything, I was the bully when I was little. Uh, I've always had girlfriends. Never really missed out on anything of that. Even when I was in prison, it wasn't nothing I really dealt with. When I came home though, started eating everything from out here. I got a little bigger, you know, still nothing terrible, but now I got so big that it started affecting a lot of areas in my life. And I don't really get bad comments or bullies. Probably somebody come in these comments on YouTube, right? But I don't even I laugh at them. I make because I got that sense of humor. But now now it has spilled over into a lot of areas of my life, and I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm also an entrepreneur, and the people that God has put me around is it's requiring me more of me in order to explore the opportunities that God's presented me. And in order to explore those opportunities, I need to be healthy, right? So if I tell, because we're in real estate as well, so If I say, Cheri, hey, let's go walk this 7,000 square foot home, right? It's in Frisco. We're building it. We're framing it like this. We put the trusses like this, and we're going to put cedar beams over here, and we're going to do it to be able to walk around all that and walk up and down the stairs and get on the roof and be able to show someone all that. I need to be healthy, right? And I haven't been able to do things like that. And there's things I'm missing out on. Walking is a big challenge for me, like extensive walking. So that affects me. Like I'm being super transparent and vulnerable, but like even my relationship with my girlfriend, like I want to take her out to what's those places called where they got like all the flowers?
Like the arboretum.
Like the arboretum. I want to go out on a date like that and walk around downtown. I want to enjoy those type of things, and I'm unable to, right? So I have been able to compensate for my weight in a lot of areas with other things, but now it's becoming too much, right? And like I said, those opportunities that I'm missing out on life, the gifts that God has given me, not being able to use them 100% like I know I should be doing. The future, my niece and my nephew, not only my own future, but my niece and my nephew, they're 9 and 10 years old. I want to be able to, go to their baseball games, practice with them, do things like that. My two boys at home, my stepsons, they're about to graduate. So one of them's going to graduate next year. So those the future, my own life, my own opportunities, my relationship, and my health. I want to be alive. Life is beautiful. Life is so beautiful. I want to be able to explore those opportunities 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and get the fruits of the work that I put in, because I put in work as far as in entrepreneurship. And I really want to reap those benefits. And so everything right now in my life is forcing me to get that way. And me, Jesus Monge, the algorithm that I've built in my brain, the neuroscience of me has bad habits, bad destructive behavior. So I've literally asked God to rewrite that part of my mind and my brain. I'm like, God, like David said, give me a new heart. God, give me a new brain. God, give me new taste buds. God, give me new desires. God, give me a different uh, cognitive thinking, right? I need to be rewired and take on God's version of that instead of mine. It's just like a car. You got a bad transmission. The transmission is causing your car trouble. You need to get rid of that transmission that came with the original car and implant this new one. That's what I need God to do to me. Because Jesus Manji, bad. God, good.
So you've mentioned entrepreneurship a few times. For the people watching, can you explain what entrepreneurship means? That's almost like entrepreneurship, but it starts with an I instead of an E.
Correct. Yes, exactly. And entrepreneurship is not as popular a word as entrepreneurship. I think over the last like 15, 20 years, entrepreneurship that word is boomed. Everyone wants to be an entrepreneur, right? And but I think what the world needs, what the working class needs, is more entrepreneurs. There's a lot of CEOs that would really benefit from having just a couple, one or two entrepreneurs in your business. What an entrepreneur is, someone that obviously they're not the CEO. They didn't put the risk up, the finance. They didn't write the paper on the articles of incorporation, but they care about the business. They make business decisions. They care about the money, recruiting, sales, all the admin roles. They're able to explain the vision and pursue the vision just as much as the entrepreneur. They're not there just to collect their paycheck, right? They're getting calls from the CEO at night because the CEO wants to run a certain program. What do you think about this? What do you think if we start doing this? And he or she, they're bringing stuff to the table. They're bringing their resources to the table. I mean, countless times in my businesses, I brought all my connections because I'm all in. I want to see this company, be fruitful, and I wanted the vision to succeed. And a lot of times people will say, well, why? If you're not the CEO, you're not going to get the benefit that the CEO gets. But yes, they will. When that company sells, who do you think the CEO is going to take care of?
But even if the CEO didn't take care of you, look at all that experience you gained without
Correct.
having to pay to get the knowledge. It is
Exactly.
like the school of hard knocks.
Mhm.
And to put it simply, an entrepreneur is someone who doesn't just stay in their lane
Mhm.
and they're always on. They're
Mhm.
always thinking about the business. I have an
Always.
entrepreneur in my business as
Mhm.
well. And man, you guys are so valued,
Mhm.
so valued. And that's really why I promote second chance hiring so much, because I know that people coming out of prison have that resiliency.
Mhm.
When you have such a resiliency like that, it makes being an entrepreneur, oh man, I don't, it's a suffering job to be an entrepreneur. Am I wrong? Like,
It can be.
I tell people all the time, as an entrepreneur, I've been an entrepreneur and I've been an entrepreneur. I tell them all the time that I have a high tolerance for suffering,
Mhm.
because it takes a lot of sacrifice.
Mhm.
And that's why I believe people coming out of prison have, not just people coming out of prison, people who are in recovery or people who come from underserved populations,
Mhm.
they know how to be resilient when things get hard.
Mhm.
In a small business, how often do things get hard?
Mhm. All the time.
All the
Yeah,
time.
you have to be able to handle that internal conflict.
And to pivot,
Mhm.
in startups, you have to pivot. And so, one thing that you told me before that you said you wish people in prison knew more about is entrepreneurship,
Mhm.
because if you get your foot in the door in a startup,
Mhm.
naturally you get to learn everything.
Correct.
That's how it was for me when I worked in Market 164 of a newsroom.
Mhm.
I got to learn everything because I was a one-man band.
Mhm.
I got to learn how to shoot the video, how to run the teleprompter, how to edit everything.
Mhm.
But when I worked at a bigger news station,
Mhm.
I had just one job.
Mhm.
And somebody coming out of prison, in my humble opinion, it is the best option to go towards a startup or a medium-sized business, because you don't have all the red tape with the corporate
Correct.
to try to get that job with a
Mhm.
felony background.
Mhm.
So talk to me a little bit about your experience working with startups and what you want people in prison to know before they get out with everything that you have learned.
I mean, and I'm not telling you don't go apply at the big companies. You can get those chances for sure. If you really believe in yourself and you're the right person, the right fit at the right time, you'll get in. But I think you have a significantly higher chance of getting in at a small business because you're able to pitch. And when I say small business, the 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 government labels a small business 500 employees or less. To me, that's not a small business. A small business is a team of 5 to 20, 25, 30. Right? There's no perfect number. It's a lot different than 500
Yeah.
employees or more. Right? So you're able to pitch yourself better. Like you said, there's no red tape. Their corporate is not in Connecticut, and the rules in Connecticut are you can't have any kind of felony or misdemeanor or anything like that on your record. And you'll never be able to get in front of the stakeholder that's going to make the decision that'll get you in. They just know that's what corporate says, and the no is no. There's no bending the rule. But in small business, you can bend the rule. The rule is this person going to help my company now?
And that is, I will speak as an entrepreneur who, I don't know why 10 years into this I'm still in startup mode. I hate it, but I am. And if somebody comes to me and says, I'm going to work hard and I'm going to do whatever you ask, you're
Yeah.
in. I mean, it's almost a prerequisite that you need to have a criminal record to work at Cornbread Hustle, but I really wish more businesses would understand the value that people coming out of prison really bring. It's not charity. Do things not work out sometimes? Absolutely. I've had people die on me. I've had people relapse on me. I've had people go back to prison on me. Humans are humans.
And I think that's what made me value. That's what gave me the opportunity with you. Is even though I didn't have a lot of experience in the workplace, you knew that I was someone that was all in, that I was the early entrepreneur, right? And I was gonna take care of whatever you asked me to do, because I was willing. I just needed the opportunity. I was not gonna let it go. Whatever, if you want to meet at 2 a.m, I'll be there. 3 a.m, whatever time, whatever it was, whatever task I was gonna take care of, because I was humble and hungry. both
Yeah.
literally and figuratively. But and that's the opportunity that I got you, and working with you and that startup. Even though I just started off in the recruiter role, I was able to learn a lot about, the admin roles, right? And I got that experience. I was able to obtain that experience there that really helped pay off later. And we talked about earlier about entrepreneurship. Correct. You're right. You get to explore a lot of opportunities with the company as the company grows. You get to do a lot of research, make a lot of connections, um, that'll help you further in your career. There's a lot of people that are CEOs of companies now that got pulled from being CFOs, COOs, operation managers from other businesses, like Howard Schultz. He from Starbucks. A lot of people think he was a founder. He was an employee at there first. The PlayStation guy. I don't know his name, but he worked at Sony. He came up with PlayStation. Gmail. He didn't. The person that came up with Gmail at Google. He didn't found the company. He was just someone that worked at the business that was trying to bring solutions, and came up with that and presented it to the team. And hey, look at Gmail now. But I was able to learn a lot of stuff working alongside you in an early startup, and all the stuff that I learned there when Carlos, where I'm at now, from Oak Cliff Building Materials, OCBM, when he hired me, he brought me in, and they had already been in business 3 or 4 years. They knew how to sell. They were very, very strong at selling building materials. There was a lot of traction there. A lot, not traction, but what do you call it?
Transactions.
Transactions. There was a lot, but the back end on the admin side was not really scaled or set up yet. So day one, I come in, hey, this is your desk. This is where you'll be sitting. Cool. Where's my onboarding paperwork? Oh, where there's none. We're a small business. We just go, you know. And I'm like, oh, I'll make one. You want me to make one? Yeah, I'll make one. Okay, here. This how you make up. What about a safety program? Oh, there's none of that. Oh, really? We don't have a safety program? Let's do that. What about does the team have email domains? No, we don't have that. And I brought so much of those little bitty things, value project management software that I had learned with you, ATS and CRMs that I had learned with you, brought that all to the company. From those experiences, I was able to transfer to my next opportunity. And now there, I was able with Carlos to explore. I mean, it would take a long time to discuss everything that we researched together, tried together, and like you said, I didn't have to pay the price, but I got to, be spearhead a lot of those projects.
But you give me a little too much credit. Remember, we learned all those things together. I remember I was 6 months sober, and I was like, I guess I can hire you. I don't know what I'm going to have you do.
Yeah.
And we figured it out.
Yeah, we did.
We learned about workers' comp,
Yeah.
workers' comp, and workman's comp, and safety.
Yeah.
You're the one that really pushed the safety stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And
when we were doing the disinfecting thing, yeah. But those are the benefits of working in a small business, the experiences that you get. And I went like I always kind of had the entrepreneur spirit, but now with all those experiences, it's been 6 years. Now I'm pretty poised. I'm pretty. I don't know. I don't want to use. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm well seasoned. I'm well seasoned.
you feel like you have your foot planted pretty well where you're at.
Yeah,
You feel firm.
Very, very much firm.
So we're going to wrap this up here soon. I know that you also told me that you wanted to talk to people who are incarcerated about code switching.
Code switching. Yeah. Code switches. Code switch. So code switching is a term for, and you see it a lot with like salespeople or support people on the phone, right? They're working at home and they're talking, they're what's it called? They're working remote, right? They're still in their pajamas, but they're on their phone. Hi, my name is Bob from such and such insurance company. How you doing today? Oh, I'm doing good. I'm calling. Yes, sir. We'll take care of you right away. And as soon as I hang up, hey, go get this over here. You know, they go back into their mode, right? And it's just that switch of professionalism. I think a lot of people that come from where we come from struggle with code switching. And yes, they know how to code switch when they're about to be sentenced, and it's definitely yes, sir. I won't do it again. And they look, you know,
I was going to say,
yeah.
they code switch very well when they're presenting to that judge.
Mm-hmm. But in a professional role, and no matter what kind of position you have, you're gonna have to learn how to brush up and how to put that mode on. And a lot of people today say it's inauthentic, but you can call it inauthentic all you want. You're only gonna go as far as you can go being how you are, right? You're gonna have to learn how to adapt to certain rooms. You're gonna have to learn to read a room, who's around, and how to present yourself.
I would say that's a pride issue too, just not willing to sit up a little more straight and pull up your pants and maybe don't come in reeking of weed. You know, I will be honest with you, I actually, in my career early on, and it was because of pride, looking back, I had an issue with that too. I just wanted to be my tomboy self and make inappropriate jokes and not take any. And the reason why I was doing that too is because I was insecure and I had so much unresolved trauma. So I guess I could make people laugh at me and join in at laughing with them while they laughed at me instead of just being laughed at. And I've had to learn how to, I mean, obviously I wouldn't have grown this business without becoming a little bit more professional, but like the way we talk to each other when we're at lunch isn't the way that I'm going to talk to a client. The way that I talk to a client isn't the way that I'm going to talk to my brother. And that's just life. That's just called being professional. It's not called being inauthentic.
Yeah, exactly. So even like before we started recording, we're more relaxed. We're ourselves. We're comfortable, you know. But we had the cameras turn on. You gotta. We're not. We're still us, right? But you have to brush it up a little bit, you know. So that's code switching.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you want somebody who's watching this on the tablet right now know that I haven't asked you or that we haven't got to?
We talked about it a little bit 2 times when I lost my job, and you said pivoting. That's one of the things I always tell people coming out. That's my top piece of advice is to pivot and adjust. Pivot and adjust. Like no matter what happens, because you're gonna come home, you have a framework in your mind of how things are gonna play out. You know, you're gonna stay at a certain place. They're gonna allow you this opportunity. This guy that you know might give you a job here, and when you come home, none of that happens. None of that happens how you thought. You're gonna have to be able to pivot and adjust and move forward. I mean, we've done it in business. You're gonna have to do it in your professional life as well. That is gonna be one of the key. What's the word? Key items that are gonna allow you to succeed. Can you pivot? They terminate you from your job. What are you gonna do? You know, are you gonna just go back? I gave up. That's it. Or are you gonna, man? Next thing you know, I remember I lost a job. I came home. The person I was living with, she's like, "Hey, go upstairs. You're gonna cry. You're gonna be sad. But tomorrow morning, you're gonna come back downstairs. You're gonna make your resume. You're gonna apply it all day." And that's the mentality you need to have. It's next. What's the next thing? What's the next opportunity?
But that's why it's so good to have people that support you and that love you in your corner and actually want to see you succeed. And there can be people that love you, want to see you succeed, but don't know how to give you the support you need.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes we have family members that just, they're not going to help any. And that doesn't mean you can't love them. It doesn't mean they don't love you, but they're not going to help. They're not going to give you the help that you need because that family member could have been the cause of some of the unresolved trauma that you're trying to do the work with.
Correct.
And then that family member can cause a trigger, and then the next thing happens, and then the next thing happens. I will say that a lot of people that we hire, when they do slip into old behaviors, the 2 top reasons that I've seen so far is 1, a death in the family. And I get that because when my dad died, literally, I can probably, a few people, I can count. Several people told me, if you relapsed, people would understand. I felt like I had permission to relapse and an excuse and a reason. I didn't, but I see a lot of people do that with a death in the family. We have one person, and we'll have him on this series soon, but he never had a drug problem before prison, during prison, even after prison, but losing his dad ignited an addiction.
Wow.
And then that's one, and then the other thing is behind a relationship. Those are the number two top reasons that I see people kind of self-sabotage or fall back into old behaviors.
Backtrack.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, the family has been the one for me, and not even in the way you would think. My dad comes over, cuts the grass. It's a hot day. It's me and him. He goes to the store, comes back. He has 2 cold beers, right? So it's my dad. It's a father-son moment, Hey, son, we just got done with the grass. We're all sweaty, dusty. Have a cold one with me. But I can't. I just can't. Even though, like you said, he loves me unconditionally, but he doesn't know what support that I need in that moment, Not even in that moment, period.
And when you say you can't, because I know I've seen what's happened when you drink. It's not as fast as for me, when I drink, I might go to jail that night. Straight up. For you, it was more of protecting your emotional sobriety and mental health, correct? Because you got to a point where even if you had a couple of drinks, you were just like, it's causing me to spiral.
What do you mean by that?
Whenever you told me that you were going to quit drinking, yes, you did have some big consequences, but that ultimately wasn't the reason you quit. That wasn't the reason you took that last drink. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you had told me because you needed to feel sane. You needed your mental health to get better, and when you drank,
all of that came out. Yeah, I was drinking, unlocked all of it, and made me feel everything that I didn't like about myself, hated about myself. So yeah, that's what that was. You're right. I did have 2 or 3 big things that I could say, because even this here hit a wall drinking. I didn't stop drinking because of this. I stopped drinking because of the toll it was taking on everything, on my mind, on my sanity, and who I was becoming when I would be drinking. That's why.
That's the same story for me. Yeah. The DWI didn't do it. The embarrassments, the consequences. It was just one night on Christmas Eve. I was like, I think I'm done. This stuff isn't working for me anymore. It's making me feel worse. Yeah. It's interesting.
Samesies.
All right, well, we'll wrap this up. Thank you, everybody, for viewing this. I am excited to bring our next guest. And as always, whenever you get out, reach out to us, cornbreadhustle.com.